Oh, I might want to turn this off. Hopefully that fixes things. Yo. What's going on, y'all? Thank you so much for joining me for the 10th installment of What You Readin' For, the live stream series where I talk about books that I've read. Today's John is none other than Hunter S. Thompson's Fear and Loathing in America. This is the second installment of the Gonzo Letters sort of series. I think this was released shortly before he died, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have like a whole crap ton to say about this book, so we're going to keep it relatively short this episode, and I'm going to use the beginning of this episode to kind of tell you guys what I've been up to and what I am going to be up to, and like what's going on with the channel, man. So for anybody who's in the know on the sort of life and times of Drognath, I just released a tabletop role-playing game 2 or 3 weeks ago. So if you go to itch.io or DriveThruRPG, you can look for Death Gadget, which is the sort of company that I'll be releasing and publishing games under. You can also search Transporting the Youth, which is the name of the game itself. I have a couple other kind of TTRPG projects I want to work on. I guess I can kind of just spoil what they are. I'm not necessarily like keeping them secret for any reason. The first one that I'm going to be working on, and this will probably be starting... I'll probably be starting development on this sometime in September. Is going to be an adventure or a scenario for Tales of the Old West, which is a what happened? What does this say? Oh, the bit rate's just dropping. Okay. I mean, as long as everybody can still hear me and see me, then it looks like we haven't really dropped any frames, so I think we're okay. Tales of the Old West, a tabletop role-playing game. It's a Year Zero engine game. I think it's awesome. It's one of the best books that I've read. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but I love the kind of aesthetic and the rule system that they have for Tales of the Old West. So I'm going to be designing a scenario for Tales of the Old West and kind of do that. That's going to be this fall. I don't know when it's going to be released. Maybe I should stipulate that. I mean, obviously, that's when I'm going to start making it, but with these projects, especially with ones you don't really make money off of, it's just kind of hard to say like when it's going to be done. Hopefully sometime by, I don't know, maybe the end of the year. The next thing after that, I will be making my second tabletop role-playing game. Also, I should mention, I have made games in the past, but this is my first attempt at like making serious, well, if not serious in subject matter, serious in sort of the dedication to the games themselves and making them good and like semi-playable. This is my kind of first attempt at doing that. So, this will be my second published game if it, gets to the publication stage of development. The second game I'm going to be making is called Chariots of Blood, and that is a game centered around motorcycle gangs and sort of riding the highways and byways of largely the U.S., although I'm sure at some point I'll bridge out into, or I'll try to include somewhere in the book mentions of motorcycle gangs in other countries and stuff like that. But largely the U.S., sort of meant to emulate that feeling you get when you watch like the first season of Sons of Anarchy, or just other kind of motorcycle gang media. It's kind of some of the fun of gang media in general, the mafia, stuff like that, but just with a little bit more raunchiness to it, a little bit more guns and gas and fucking, just badassery, I guess you could say. Just wearing these big old leather vests and leather jackets and beating the crap out of each other. I think it's a fun setting to play in, or it will be a fun setting to play in, and I'm excited to start designing that. A game that I also have in mind, I haven't really done a lot of thinking on it, but I have the general kind of concept, is a sci-fi game that I might start working on sometime next year, probably. I don't want to say too much more about that because I think it's just too undercooked to really mention anything about. But those are the things with Death Gadget that I'm doing right now. I got a lot of irons in the fire, and there's a couple things, for my why am I forgetting the name of it right now? Oh my god, I'm going completely blank. What is it called? A Substack. I have a couple items coming down the pipe for the Substack that I've been working on. Those should hopefully see the light of day before the end of this year as well. And I think I mentioned at some point, but let me just mention here right now, because it will probably be coming out. It'll almost certainly be coming out this Friday. I'm starting a new series here on the YouTube channel. It's going to be called Crusader Kings 3 House of Mordecius, and it'll basically be a week-by-week look at a single household in Crusader Kings 3, a single county, and watching as it kind of develops. And the goal really is to kind of take over the entire world, but just seeing how things happen year by year. We're going to go one week, or one episode per week, and every week we do an additional year. So this potentially, if I keep the series going, could potentially last the next couple years. But I'm really excited about that. I'm editing the first episode right now. I think it's pretty entertaining, so I'm excited to show you guys that. Love Crusader Kings 3. I haven't really done any content on it, but it's a game I've been playing a lot of, so it's only fitting that I make something out of it. Road Warden. I plan on hopefully soon, maybe sometime this week, getting back to Road Warden and playing a little bit more of that over on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Drognath. If you don't follow me over there, go check that out. But I do want to get back to Road Warden at some point, because that game is really awesome, and I have kind of committed to, until I see that game all the way through and find out the secrets and the mysteries that game holds, I don't want to move on to other games. And I have a few other games that I really would love to play, but it doesn't seem right to abandon Road Warden, even though it's been quite a while since I played it. But hopefully we'll be getting back to it sometime this week. In addition, sometime, hopefully, I'm thinking this project probably... I think this project probably I will wait until the beginning of next year. I think this will be a good project to start the year off with. I'm going to be starting my solo role-playing series here on the YouTube. It'll be, edited, and, it'll be a kind of solo journey through whatever games that I'm going to play. And I think the first game, I kind of wanted to keep it a secret, but I think I'm just going to let you guys know that the first game that I'm going to be playing is a game by Black Oath Entertainment, and it's called Rift Breakers, I believe. It's designed for solo and cooperative play. I'm going to be playing it solo. I kind of figured that for my first foray into the world of solo role-playing, it might be helpful to play something that is sort of designed for... It's designed with the solo role player in mind. So look forward to that sometime, probably next year. I think it might be fun, some fun winter vibes of, you're kind of cozied up inside. It's all nice and warm, and you're just playing some games. And I think that could be a really cool vibe for the winter months. So look forward to that. Is there anything else that I want to mention here? There's so much good stuff, and it's hard to really iterate that to the audience because you guys aren't seeing a lot of it yet. But I'm kind of slowly just trying to trickle things out there so that I have the base of work done and I can kind of just keep building on them, if that makes sense. This is a really special edition of What You Readin' For, because this is the 10th episode, and it's unfortunate that I have such a just kind of run-of-the-mill book to talk about for this 10th episode, but I really appreciate you guys tuning in and joining me. Make sure to like this stream if you enjoyed me talking about books. If you want to tell me a little bit about your experience with Hunter S. Thompson, or if you've read this book before, make sure to comment down below, or join the chat live. You can obviously join the chat live when I'm doing the live streams, and subscribe so that you get notified every time I go live to discuss a new book. So let's read the full title, just top to bottom. This book has like 8 titles. The Gonzo Letters, Volume 2, Fear and Loathing in America. Hunter S. Thompson, The Brutal Odyssey of an Outlaw Journalist. This book has been on my shelf to be read for probably like longer than a decade. It's probably been like 10 or 12 years. I read the first edition of the Gonzo Letters. Trying to think of if it even had a title. I think it was just called like The Letters of Hunter S. Thompson or something like that. But it essentially was a collection of Hunter S. Thompson's letters from, the 50s and 60s. This one goes a little bit further in time, but a lot of it kind of pertains to the 60s and whatnot. The reason I don't have a whole lot to say about it is just because it's like, number one, it's Hunter S. Thompson, and at a certain point you kind of learn what to expect from him. Especially I'll talk about The Great Shark Hunt in a future episode, but I just kind of came off the back of finishing The Great Shark Hunt by Hunter S. Thompson. I was kind of clearing through some of my Hunter S. Thompson that I had sitting on the shelf. And it's not to say that it's not enjoyable or that there isn't artistic merit to it, because I think he's an incredible, incredible writer. And he was a very interesting fellow. I won't say that he was a good man, because he seems like a fairly strange and abusive at times, and certainly an alcoholic, and a freakazoid of sorts, which isn't always necessarily a bad thing, but certainly in his case I think a lot of harm was done through his antics. Largely I think he was an interesting writer, and I think that his accounts of the sort of latter hippie movement and things of that nature I think are really interesting and worth reading. But I will say that after having read a decent amount of his work, the first thing I read by him, I believe, was Hell's Angels. Is that right? No. I think the first thing I read by him actually was the Gonzo Letters, because it had like just come out or something by the point that I became aware of it. If I'm not mistaken, I could be totally wrong about this, but it was quite a while. I read it when I was like a teenager. And so, but I also, read Hell's Angels. I really loved that book. Hell's Angels, I think, is probably, not having read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which most people would say is his best work. Hell's Angels, I think, is probably my favorite thing that I've read by him. And now having read The Great Shark Hunt as well as the Gonzo Letters Part 2, it's just kind of, he's one of those writers that once you've heard it, once you've heard one, you've heard it all, if that makes sense. Like, there's just not like a huge amount of complexity to the topics covered, the sort of strategies by which he tackles certain subjects. I think largely his formula of get fucked up and then report on certain events, while certainly revolutionary and I think very important and I think endlessly entertaining, it just at a certain point it does get old. And particularly, reading his letters, I think, can really start to wear on one's patience. Because a lot of the letters, it's like, why did they even monetize this bit of Hunter S. Thompson's legacy? You're just reading like letter after letter of him writing to people asking for money or writing to people and saying, hey, how are the kids, X, Y, and Z, which is like cool because it kind of humanizes the guy. It puts a kind of human face to the madness that is Hunter S. Thompson. But one does sometimes wonder if things like this are compiled by people with moneyed interests and not necessarily for any particular artistic messaging. Does that make sense? Like, these compilations and things like these are put together essentially to profit off of the fame and influence of the person who wrote them, and it's not actually trying to communicate something to the reader or try to illustrate some kind of point to the people that would be reading it, the intended audience, I guess you could say. That is my impression of this book, and that's really why I don't have a lot to say about it. I read it all. I honestly, like, there were definitely some letters where I was like, I'm just going to skip this letter because it has nothing in it for me. There's nothing in, letter A or letter B to, like, some editor at, a newspaper that no longer exists from Hunter S. Thompson asking why, his story didn't get in the paper, what have you. It just, and also I read it quite a while ago, so I have less to say about it because of that as well. It's just not as fresh in my mind. I don't know if there's any person on the planet that has read this book aside from me, because it's just such a kind of B-side of Hunter S. Thompson's. It's not like one of his mainline kind of one of the books that everyone kind of knows him for, the Rum Diary, Hell's Angels, stuff like that. I think that's genuinely like kind of all I have to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've tuned into this episode, the 10th episode of What You Reading For. The next episode, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be on Mexican Gothic. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Mexican Gothic will be the next book. And, I really look forward to chatting with all of you about that book. Thank you so much once again for watching and tuning in, and we will see you next time.